Hello everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This video is part of my series of Introduction to Machine Learning, and it will focus on introducing you to the machine learning pipeline. So from the previous videos, we understood the concept of machine learning and the existing machine learning types. But then the big question is, having understood all these machine learning types, where does one begin from? How will one be able to build models that can be used as efficient solutions to problems? And this is exactly what this video will seek to do. So, the question is, what is a machine learning pipeline? But I would want to begin from us understanding what a pipeline itself is. So, a pipeline from the English dictionary refers to a system or a process through which something is conducted. Hence, a machine learning pipeline are iterative steps that are taken continuously to improve the accuracy of a model or to build a successful model. So in this video, we'll learn the machine learning workflow. The first of the stages is acquisition of data. There are actually different sources one can get data from, but it will always depend on what project you're working on. So for instance, a project that is on fraud detection, potential places where you can get data would be banks. And for predicting something like breast cancer, you may want to consider getting data from hospitals, but also I've included sources to websites where you can always get data from. For financial data, if you're interested in working on finance, you can always get data from Yahoo Finance. You can always get data to different sources of data from Data Planet. Now, Kaggle and Zindi are actually competition websites where people actually go and then have real competitions to work on, and they often provide you data to work on. And I would suggest that you try to enroll in one or two of these competitions, and it can really help you hone your skills. I've included links to each of these sources in my description section, so you can go there and then find out more. The next stage is data analysis. Well, data will always carry lots of information, but unless we do data analysis, the individual data points will make no sense. So the data analysis is the process of understanding your data and discovering useful information, which would be important for your model development stage. And it's actually through data analysis you're often able to tell if your data has outliers or your data is normalized or not. Well, if you are uncomfortable with any of these things I have mentioned, don't worry, we'll come to each and every one of them in subsequent videos. The next stage is feature engineering. This is one important part of the process, and it involves having to create new features from existing features you have in your data. So the process involves using domain knowledge or expertise. And this is why sometimes you hear that the field of machine learning or data science is an interdisciplinary field because it combines expertise from different places. And this step can be very, very important in improving the performance of your model, and you would have to spend lots of time either reading about the project you're working on and the kind of features you're dealing with. The next stage is feature selection. And in machine learning, you can always be presented with lots of features, but it doesn't always mean that all these features are important in helping you come up with a solution. Hence, feature selection is the process of where you automatically or manually select the feature which can contribute most to your target variable you're interested in. And there are lots of ways you can apply this or do this, and it includes wrapper methods, but then we'll get to know what wrapper method is in subsequent videos. Well, I want to mention that some people often are not very clear with the difference between feature engineering and feature selection. Feature engineering is basically recreating new features from the features you already have in your data. And those new features you create may carry more or help in understanding your target variable better. And feature selection is just selecting the important features that can help explain your dependent variable, right? Now, the next stage we move to is model deployment. And this is where a lot of people are very interested in. But this is where you also get to decide whether you're building a complex neural network or you're using a simple regression model such as logistic regression or linear regression. But then once this process is done, once you build a model, which is very easy to do in Python, you have to go back to do a feature engineering and feature selection. But it will always depend largely on how well your model works. So if you build a model and realize you don't get very good results, you often have to go back and then check the feature engineering and feature selection you did. Now, the last stage is model deployment. Now, model deployment is a method by which your build model is integrated into an existing production environment to make practical business decisions. And this is the last stage of the machine learning pipeline. And the process involves a lot of collaboration between machine learning experts, software developers, and business professionals. And as a team, they're able to make sure that the model works reliably. So I've put the whole machine learning pipeline stages into one big picture. So you realize I have included an arrow from the model development stage to feature engineering and from feature engineering through to the model development. And I already explained why this is the case. You can always build the model and realize that it doesn't work well. It's either overfits or underfits. Then you have to go back and look at your feature engineering, do a feature selection, and rebuild the model. Once you get a good model and you deploy it, whilst your data is being used by people, you will still be able to collect new data that you probably never had in your initial training sets. A very good example is Google Map. Google Map, for their first maps they built, if you used it, you realize that it probably didn't give you accurate directions to some of the places. But over time, they have improved and it can give you accurate information and even the amount of time you need to get to a particular place. And I think that this is as a result of the fact that they're able to collect new data and retrain or rebuild the model and then deploy it back. So in conclusion, we have looked at the machine learning pipeline. We have understood that we have 6 different stages. You first of all acquire your data. You do a data analysis, follow up to do a feature engineering. You do a feature selection, develop your model or build your model. Then afterwards, you can deploy your model. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you click on the subscribe button and leave me comments whether you have questions or suggestions. I'll be happy to read them. And see you in my next video. Thank you.